to go a step further, cause my ability to flow kinda makes me wonder, am I musically demented? And like, what is the reason for my musical existence? I put pen to paper and apply my writing skills, based upon just my musical cadence skills. Therefore, making a nigga inevitable. Poetic language, far beyond the normal level. Vivid ideas allow me to do this verbally. Writer's block, I never heard of these. Speak my mind, deliver my thoughts, and I'll be able to continue to flow without a flaw. Cause spoken ideas leave the mind drunk. So if I have any doubts about an idea, I throw it out. Profession to rhyme, but I'm a jack of all trades. Therefore, I can work the board and still perform on stage.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Woke at Midnight. I'm your host, Jason Bryant. I'm here with Shantavius Benford and my pops, Joel Bryant. Today we're going to hit a tough subject, something that's really been affecting the world, the country, and ultimately the black community, and that's the drug epidemic that we have flooding our streets. We're not only talking about the opioids, but the increase in fentanyl and the effect that weed may have on the community also. Let's go ahead and start with fentanyl, as it's probably the most talked about topic in terms of drug overdoses, illicit drugs and things of that nature. One of the things that kind of help propagate our current administration to office, considering that it's such a huge thing and so many deaths are associated with it. So I want to go ahead and start with Pops. Tell me, based on, you've been around the block more than once, you've seen kind of how drugs have affected the community in general. Now we're seeing this fentanyl crisis. How is it? Like, is it the worst things you've seen? Have you seen it worse than that? And kind of what's your take on that?
Well, from what I'm seeing right now, I've never seen anything like it. Like I was saying, that you see people just almost spaced out in the middle of the street. I go all over to different states, and wherever you go, it's something in common. You see people riding a bike. If the cars don't swerve out the way, and they just spaced out, and it's sad that that how we pump up America, as this great country, and we overseas fighting wars, and then we can't even give the proper help that we need to our own people. So I think, and the crazy part about it is we have the resources to do it, but we won't do it. We'll put everything more important in front. You understand what I'm saying? And it's just like, why? And for people who voted for the current administration, you should understand, that what we have helped create, So whenever you get administration in there that really don't care about the people, this is what you have. So it's a sad situation. I'm just telling you, and there's also the productivity of the country is in trouble right now because there's too many people on drugs. We can't think straight, and we're gonna have to do something about it. It's a crisis.
Yeah. No, Shani, you're Gen Z, right? Like, you're on the younger side, or are you Gen A?
That's the thing. I don't know. I feel so off myself because I don't know what category I go into.
Okay, well, you're your own person. That's what matters. But
right.
From what you're seeing at your age range, and just people that like, how is the drug epidemic affecting, I guess, your group of people? And have you seen? Have you seen it affect you personally, and what are your thoughts on it?
Well, yeah, for my age, I'm 26, but over the course of my life, I have seen it, like, people, I had an issue with, like, chain smoking myself, as far as, like, when it came to weed. I was introduced to things very young, and it's just about, the community and the environment I was around. I think that's what it really was, and just the repetition of the cycle. So, like, maybe our parents or uncles, the people who were addicted to, I had people in my family who were addicted to drugs, alcohol, stuff like that, had those problems. So I just feel like it's just what people were used to, how they were raised, and like most of the people I was around grew up in the projects, at least, you know, old Atlanta, if you get what I mean. Yeah, from old Atlanta. So how I've seen it affect like mostly the younger kids, because it's like we're so exposed at a young early age, you know. Yeah, because of the environment. Yes.
And to have children be exposed to, you know, drugs in general, but definitely illegal drugs, that's highly concerning. And it's something as a community, is like, how do we deal with that? Now, when we're talking about fentanyl, right, most of the deaths are coming from opioids, you know, fentanyl-laced opioids, in which someone will avoid a doctor, avoid a pharmacy, registered pharmacy, to go get it on the streets because they aren't able to get it from a doctor, and it would be laced with fentanyl, and then we see deaths from there. We're talking about I think it was 70,000 deaths in 2024. It's been decreasing lately, but that's still a lot of deaths due to illegal drugs. My question to you, Pop, do you think that the current administration, or in our government, or us as a society, how do we? But these opioids, a lot of people will say that they need them. You know, it helps with pain, it helps with other things, chronic illnesses. But some people aren't able to get to them. So where's the disconnect? How do we meet the demand with the supply in order to try to drive out the illegal black market that's then causing the deaths due to the illicit drugs that are coming in illegally?
Well, you have to have drug treatment centers in every community. That's number one. Number two, you can't have people on the streets, right? So it should be a system, right? Like, why do we have so many homeless people out here in the streets with mental health problems and with drug problems? We should have our police officers to anybody that's homeless, that's on the street, you pick them up, you take them down to the facility, and then right then and there, what you do is you find out what's going on with them, you get it examined, and then they should go to the proper centers. You know, that's easy. You know, and on the other end, if we wanted to stop illegal drugs from coming in overseas and different things like that, we could. You know what I'm saying? And it's another thing that we don't talk about, is the greed of the people, the greed of the doctors, the greed of everybody who contributes to destroying our nation. You know, everything's about money. You hired a psychopath, you elected a psychopath as president because you thought you was getting something out of it. This is how greedy this country is. So we're in trouble just from the type of mindset that we have in this country. Right now, we're the worst country it is, and it's not even close. You know, everybody is just on the money. We'll throw each other under the bus. We don't help people. We got people dying in the streets from drugs, and we won't even help them. So I think it has to come from all ends. And if administrate, like with the Democrats, the problem with the Democrats, and I've been a Democrat my whole life, and we definitely can't be Republicans, because Republicans, they're here to protect power. That's what they are. That, you know, so we understand that. But when the Democrats get in, what we don't do is we try to negotiate and all of that. We don't. If we had a Trump, right, but for good, we could solve all of this problem. You understand what I'm saying? Somebody's gonna come in and say, no, we ain't doing this, we ain't doing that. Oh, I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know what they might say. I don't know if the Congress might think this way. You just got to come in and get the job done. And that's on all levels of government. You know, so it shouldn't be that hard to attack this problem, because you got countries that, yeah, they might have a drug problem, but it's nothing like our drug problem, and that's because of greed, and we got to understand that.
Right.
Yeah. Your thoughts on that, Shannon?
As far as the drug problem, I feel like, I don't know how to put it. I feel like it's in the conditioning, and, you know, like I was saying earlier, repeating cycles. But I think we just need to want more. We need better programs. Somebody got to start, you know, creating those better programs. Like, we have things out there these days to help people, but I don't really feel like it goes into depth the way it could or the way it should. And especially in our own community, I'm like, we need to just be, we were talking before and just how we need an infrastructure for us. So that we can, like, I feel like we need to purge it. Honestly, it's not going to be easy because everybody's not going to listen. Like, the truth is, you can't make nobody do anything. And that's the hardest part, because you can speak to people in the face saying, this is not good for you, and put the information out there. But it's about people's trauma. Some people take it for reasons because they can't deal with the issues they have, you know, their traumas or whatnot. So
when you say taking, you mean take like an opioid?
Yeah, I've met people I would have never thought did opioid. I'm like, and I'm too scared to do it. I'm sorry, I don't want to get addicted to anything, but I don't judge them because I knew people that I was around for a long time that I saw on a personal level every day, and I wouldn't even know they were doing it. And it's sad that they felt like they had to even go that far as you know, entertaining that. And I know people who almost died from it too. So.
And they're taking it usually for mental problems?
Some were taking it for mental problems. Of course, you know, like prescribed, but majority of the time, no.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
It was something that was used as like, seen as like weed, like a party drug or something like that. And I'm like, where y'all getting this idea from? Who said let's start popping pills?
Like
Why?
Percocets and stuff like that?
Yeah, like why?
Molly Percocet, yeah.
Why? Like, where does that idea
Yeah.
come from? Like, you get excited and you just start thinking about let's pop pills.
It's
but
definitely in the rap lyrics.
Yeah,
you
you
hear
got
that
a point.
throughout, yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about. The culture is being passed down, and you seeing your mama, your uncle, your auntie, or somebody, or just again, cycles. So I think it's so much deeper than, you know. Yeah, I just think it's a lot to unravel.
Yeah. Now, in terms of deaths per year, we have, starting in 2022, for fentanyl deaths per year, we had 70,800. Then in 2023, 72,000. 2024, 54,000. 2025, approximately 47,000. So it's been decreasing in the past 4 years. The Trump administration came in, basically closed the border. And we know that most of the precursor in fentanyl is coming now from the Mexican cartel from Mexico, or so we're told. With that being the case, do you think that that's enough to? Because you know, usually when Americans want something, we make it happen. You know, whether it be black market or secret smuggling or whatever, you know, unfortunately. Do you think that what the Trump administration's crackdown, shutting down the border, basically declaring a drug war on Mexico and all their cartels, do you think that's enough to stop what's currently happening, or do you think Americans ultimately are the controllers of their own fate? Pop, start with you.
They haven't shut down any border. They're worse at the border than anybody. Barack stopped more people from coming in. All that's just propaganda. So
The deaths part or the shutting down the border part?
Probably the deaths too, because remember now they fired everybody, so the numbers that's coming out of there, I don't even look at their numbers. You know, it only numbers that we can get is like from organizations who might be in whatever product that they might be over or something like that. But as far as anything coming from the government now, unfortunately, you can't, look at that. I know what I see. And I know no matter what neighborhood I'm in, people is walking around like they just gone. So I don't think it's getting any better. Of course, Trump administration is not going to make it better. He just let out the biggest opioid drug dealer in the world. A lot of them, 3 or 4 of them. And to be honest with you, how do you pronounce the guy's name? Maduro? Did he?
Venezuela president?
Yeah, I think he just cut a deal with him. I don't think I think it was just like, okay, we're going to let you off the hook so you won't have a indictment against you. You come down here, give us this money. Everything is pay for play. That's why you can't put people in the office who is about money. You see what I'm saying? It has to be for the people first. And so when you look at that, I don't think it's getting any better, because you got people in there that don't care. They don't care about human beings, period. But what I'm telling you is that yes, it can be stopped though. It can be stopped, but you have to get people in the government, on all levels of the government, who give a damn. And that's and to me that's where the problem comes. Like even on the city and on the state level, I just don't understand. Like even in Atlanta, like they got the games coming down here now, and they clean. I'm talking about it looks so good downtown, and it was just homeless people everywhere, and now they clean it up. But why we don't do that all the time? So on every level, I'm gonna really start pushing state and local government to make a change. Like we gotta have programs, you know, and it's crazy because you got these GoFundMe's where people give money to the craziest causes and they raise millions of dollars. Like, let's start a fund. You know, the government can start a fund and say, who want to donate to that? Come up with the programs and let's start getting these facilities up, you know, because they can raise money for anything else.
Who killed the Chronic? Who killed the Chronic? Who killed the Chronic? I killed the Chronic. Who am I? Chronic killer. Stronger. I am stronger than Chronic killer. And that's why I killed the Chronic. Who killed the Chronic? You did.
The way we spend money here and the frivolous spending, like we can do anything we want to do, you know. So that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, and just to let you know that the deaths statistics are from KFF.org, an independent source for health policy research, polling, and news. Right. It's not a government website. Right. This study was done in February 2026. So, I mean, it's hard to trust really any numbers, but at least that's not a government website if that's what we're saying.
Well, they saying the deaths went down when in 2025. It was from February.
The highest. Well, it was high in 2021 at 71,000. It went down a little bit in 2022. Okay. Then went back up in 2023. Then went down substantially.
Yeah, so that makes sense because when Biden was in, so you had the trajectory, and it's always like when you put a Republican in, it take a year to turn everything around and everything go up. So that makes sense because I know Trump and them ain't doing. There's nothing, no statistics you can give me to know they did because I know what they're about. So yeah. So when Biden came in, it started going down drastically, you know, once he got that 1 year, and then it started going down, and then now it's going back up. So that's what you see.
Yeah, it's hard to trust what the Trump administration is saying, considering that one, they lie every time they get in front of the camera, and two, he's clearly let out multiple drug lords out of jail, for using a presidential pardon, which is honestly crazy. Let's talk a little bit more about marijuana. Marijuana itself, you know, what people would consider that less of a hardcore drug. You know, it's kind of falling right there in the middle, in which it's still illegal. You know, it's more illegal than alcohol, and more illegal than tobacco. Yet it's being accepted by some states. Some states it's federally illegal. Some states have it as legal, like Colorado and California, and there are different results depending on what you consider good or bad in terms of should we legalize it or not. And I also want to kind of bring in, you know, to go ahead and compare it to prohibition, you know, 1920, 1930s, in which alcohol was outlawed in the nation. It was illegal to consume and to purchase alcohol, and in the midst of that, multiple illegal organizations, mobs, cartels appeared, started bootlegging liquor, and giving a birth to those such as Al Capone, who've made millions in the illegal business, and this was the process that the nation tried to do of taking away Americans, access to alcohol, because it felt like it was a social irresponsibility to allow that, you know, considering the effects of alcohol. America pushed back on it, and then it became legal again. Now it's regulated, and obviously you can get alcohol just about anywhere now. And so we're looking at weed right now, which is an illegal substance. Multiple people were sent to jails for long periods of times throughout our nation's history. Some people life in prison, depending on what part of history you're talking about right now. And here's a drug that's considered less dangerous than alcohol and tobacco. But there's still studies coming out of the long-term effects of marijuana. Pop, we'll start with you. What do you think about weed in general and it being legal or illegal? And are there specific steps we can take as a nation to regulate this more and also kind of study and determine the effects of weed?
Yeah, so let me just read a little bit of this study. So the studies have confirmed that heavy lifetime use is linked to lower brain activity during tasks and requiring working memory, the ability to hold and use information like following instructions or solving a math problem. IQ decline, long-term frequent use, especially if started before the age of 18, can lead to an average IQ drop of 5.5 points that might not fully return even after quitting. Structural changes. Chronic use is associated with smaller hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for learning and memory, and changes in the I'm not even going to try to pronounce that word, which controls emotions and fears. So the part of your brain that controls emotions and fears. So when I see this, is everything that I've been seeing that I didn't used to see. So which is telling me when we used to have the brown weed, right? Back in the day, people used to smoke the brown weed. They didn't act like they act now. So now weed is becoming something that can really affect your life, because now we done got the government has a hold of it. So I think that when you start talking about how the gangsters like Al Capone have got a hold on it, well, is there any more bigger gangsters than what's in the governments now? So when they get a hold of stuff, like it's probably even worse. So, I think that we have to start by educating the people on drug use. And I think, what weed is doing to them and how it's targeting the brain. And I think that's where it starts from.
Do you think it should still be illegal?
No, I think it should be legal.
Okay.
Until we change the whole structure of the government. Once we change the structure of the government, then it's a lot of things that shouldn't be legal, because we have to make a decision. But if we want to see the American dream, or what we feel like that should be the American dream, we're going to have to all sit down and ask each other, what is best for us? Okay, we know this feels good, but what is best for us? I don't think we never really kind of go that direction. It's just always about what we're not getting. Oh, you can't take alcohol, you can't. But what is best for us as a society? You know what I'm saying? When are we going to start addressing that? You feel where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
And we all have our, we all have our habits. No, let's not get it twisted. But I think we all have to ask, ourselves, like, what is best for us? Can we live, without this one thing or without that one thing? And everybody has their own vices, and everybody acts like they can't live without their vices. And I think it's a problem that all of us got to ask ourselves.
Yeah. Addiction, vices, overdoing anything, is always going to be an issue. When you look at states like Colorado and California, they have shown an increase in tax revenue due to regulation of marijuana. I think that Colorado is saying they're making like $300 million a year in additional tax dollars due to just collection on taxes for marijuana. I mean, $300 million is not a little bit of money. I know if that would have went to our schools here in Clayton County, the education, our teachers probably would have been, better paid and probably have more, will want to do their job a little bit better because they're getting paid more. That's $300 million. So, when you're talking about taking away, there was a study done that said as of 2024, 24% of Americans admit, and that's admitted, because some people may say, oh no, my job may get a hold of this, I'm not going to say it. to at least smoking weed in the last year. So with 24% at 17 something million people, that you're trying to take away their ability to smoke weed and call it illegal. I would say that in this case, you're going against the grain, especially on something in which tax dollars can be collected on. So it's interesting to me that a kid could go to the store. I mean, they can't legally buy a cigarette, but they can pull one out right there. And tobacco is the number one cause of lung cancer, and it's the primary reason the American Cancer Society was created. Yet that's completely legal. And alcohol, you drink too much, you may black out and not remember what happened the day before. And there's all type of AA, alcoholics assistance, it's all type of things way worse about alcohol than it is weed. So I think it's interesting that we still have this dynamic in which it's a legal substance, which is kind of like going against the grain. Shannon, you tell me what your thoughts about that.
Thoughts about the weed in the community?
Correct, yeah.
The fact that I feel like it should be legal, but I don't know. I don't understand why are we adding more stuff to it? Like, why it started off as a natural plant, and I feel like it could be medicinal and for medicinal reasons. And if we went about it that way, it's not about what you do; it's about how you do it. And I think the way we're doing it and distributing it is the problem. And then it getting passed around. Like, I was introduced to weed around, like, let's say 13, 14 years old, and in my mind, a child, I had stuff going on in my life, but besides that, it's just like, it was because I'm around my cousins and they were introduced to stuff at an early age. So it's just like kids introducing kids to, like, you get what I'm saying. But I feel like there are people in jail right now for selling weed or having weed on them. And I understand there are laws in place, but the truth is, I feel like the only reason that it's illegal is because they can't tax it. They can't, control it. Like, they're even trying to make everything digital, where they can see how much you're making and what's in the circulation of money. So I just feel like it's a control thing. Like, and they're starting to legalize it in some places. They have dispensaries. Don't go out there and try that stuff because it's too strong. But like in LA, it's too strong. Don't do it. But yeah, I think it's just about how we're doing stuff. Because if it started off as a plant, then it wasn't a bad thing. We made it a bad thing.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Just final thoughts on that?
Yeah, so anytime you talk about taking money out the black community and giving it to the government, that's a no-no, because that makes conditions worse. So anything that we were making money off, they criminalize it so bad until they get in their hands. Now they take that and put the resources black into the white community, and now we got even a worse problem. Because if they ain't smoking weed, now they going to something else. You see what I'm saying? So anything that the government is controlling, far as weed, far as the numbers where black people used to make a living off of, and then all the other industries that they try to have a hold over, a grasp over, so we can't make money and we can't benefit unless we work for them. So it's a bigger picture than just that, than just the tax money. I don't care about the tax money anymore, because it's shown that we're not living in a democracy anymore, and we have no say-so in that. So we have to build our own companies, and I know that's another topic, but we can't just give away the money that's made in the streets, because that's how people survive.
When you say money made in the streets, you talking about illegally or legally?
I'm talking about illegally. However,
illegally?
What I'm saying to you is that they make anything illegal that we make money off of. Of course. Eventually, do you understand what I'm saying? So we gotta quit, acting like we so uppity and just deal with the facts. You see what I'm saying? Like, everything that we have made, the great things that black people have made, they have taken and made it illegal. When rap came out, they tried to make all the words illegal until the white boys start rapping and selling millions and millions. Remember what they did to Luke Skywalker? They took the rap stuff, everything that we have homegrown and made, and like she just said, weed wasn't a bad thing. With numbers, a guy invented numbers out of Chicago. It was just like, oh, I got a number, I got a way we can make some money. So then they made it old bad, and they promote how bad it is until they get their hands on it. You see what I'm saying? Oh, rap is so bad. But rock and roll, that ain't bad. When they devil worshiping and doing all that stuff and talking about using drugs, that's where it started from. You understand what I'm saying? So we have to be careful on how we talk about giving white people anything.
It sounds like you're associating white people with legality.
because they're because it's legal. What's legal to them is not legal to us. You see what I'm saying? Or what's not legal to them is because if they were doing it for the best interest of us, it would be a different thing. You understand what I'm saying? So and weed is actually legal in most places now, right? You know, so I know in Detroit and Cleveland, all those places, they sell them right in the stores. So it takes away from our economy. We'll come up with something else, 10 or 15 big things in the next couple of years. They'll do the same to that. We got to keep them out of our business until, right, the government is a fair government. That's just how it is, because anything will be legal. And I don't want to go too long. I know it's time to cut.
Okay. Great conversation. We'll be right back for more Woke at Midnight. Stay tuned.
All right. Let's get us some air, y'all.
Whew. Shit. You smell all that Cinco de Mayo. Oh, shit. Here she comes. Where's the Chronicle? Stronger. Yeah, stronger. Quick. Whew. Hey, babe. I know it smells good. That's that stronger. You ready? Let's roll.
Welcome back to Woke at Midnight. I'm your host, Jason Bryant, and we're going to shift gears and get into some financial literacy, and in particular, the death of the dollar, or supposed death of the dollar. You know, what's going on with the dollar right now, and compare it to real assets, things such as land, gold. You know, what does the dollar come from? What does it really mean? What role does it play in the world? And let me just say really fast that the dollar used to be backed by gold back prior to 1971, until it was decentralized and became the global reserve currency, in which, you know, America declared that the dollar is just as good as gold. It doesn't matter how much gold we may have in our reserve. At the end of the day, the dollar is the value, because America, after World War II and after all the other world wars, has declared itself the superpower. And if you want to do business with us, here's the dollar. We don't need gold to tell us how valuable the dollar is. The value comes in America being America and democracy. You know, now people are starting to, you know, that was the 70s, and so that was 50 years ago, and people are starting to see over time what happens when the dollar is the reserve currency around the world. And a big thing that comes from it is inflation. You know, the loss of value of your dollars due to the increase of the dollar supply put into the system over time. Now, because that's a phenomenon, the question is it better to have cash, or is it better to have real assets, and to what extent on either? And what are the risk and rewards? Pop, let's start with you. What are your thoughts on cash versus real assets?
Well, cash is the worst thing you can have. That's number one. So I'm gonna take it back to when Elon Musk and they came with the Doge and went through everybody's personal information. I knew everything was over at that time. I knew it, because this is what we're not understanding, and we have a lack of critical thinking, especially on people who are in government and even with higher up, you know, executives at the corporations. You know, they lack. I can just tell, like, when they start talking about DEI, these people who run the companies are DEI, because the stock market is going to crash. That's for sure. So that's why they always come out and say, oh, the stock market is doing this. Trump has to come out and make statements all the time. So if you got your money invested in that, then eventually you're going to lose all your money. So the reason why I'm saying this about Doge is because they were able to go into different systems and different parts of the government to cross-reference all your data. Now remember, they're tech people, right? So why are they doing that? Because that's their escape plan. You understand what I'm saying? That's their escape plan, to push a button and all of a sudden they can get you to probably have your passwords and everything and get all your money out. And what do we have left? We have a government who don't care nothing about us, who now are over the nuclear weapons. What are you going to do if they just take your money? America has no resources. If they go and say, I'm going over to Russia, and then they just point to nuclear weapons over here, what are we going to do? See, we don't think that far ahead. Why, if you notice, like, oh, we got to go in here, we saving you some money. Did y'all really believe that? Right? So they have went and they took all our information. They did it from the get-go to see how we were going to react. And once we let them do stuff, it's just, going on and on. So now, what I came up with is something called convertible assets. Right? Now, convertible assets could mean something different to people, but I'm going to tell you what convertible assets that I coined means. Convertible assets is different for each individual person, depending on where do you think that you want your life to go. What is the best for me? How should I have my value? Do you understand what I'm saying? So you might say, oh, I want all my stuff in cash, because I want to just flee to Canada or something like that. But then you got to think of, you really got to think about, do I really want American cash? It might not be worth nothing. So what, like with me, I think that my company and my portfolio is pretty diverse, where like if I move out the country, I got digital assets, I got, I will have some cash, but I will have assets that I can use anywhere. You understand what I'm saying? Like if I'm a singer, I'm the asset, right? If I'm doing shows and I'm a Jay-Z or I'm somebody hot, I can do shows all over the world, right? So that's an asset to me. You understand what I'm saying? Digital assets like content we can use all over the world. You feel what I'm saying? So you have to break it down. Like, how valuable are stocks and bonds when you have criminals that's overseeing it? Have anybody ever thought about that? See, the one thing, and I'm from Detroit, ex-gangster everything, but here's the thing. What we always knew, right, was never let a gangster run the house, because all he gonna do is backstab all the other gangsters. So that's one thing that you always have to have somebody in charge that's credible and that you can trust. You understand what I'm saying? So we're here now, right? So when you start looking at your portfolio, you got to look at assets that best will help you in the long run. So if you got, I don't want to scare America, but if you got Social Security and stuff like that, and that's all you counting on, you're in trouble. And I hate to say this. And that's why we have to build our own businesses, because you can never count on the government, because if crooks get in there, you through, and we're at that point.
Yeah, just to touch on that a little bit, when you talk about liquidity, it's the ability to convert an asset to cash. The reason cash was or currency was created in the first place a long time ago as a medium of exchange, because if you wanted to pay your light bill, you can't give them a cow. You can't bring them over a cow and say, here's a valuable cow that you can then cut up for your family and then eat. Now, please give me power to my light bill. It needs to be something a little bit easier, and that's where currency was created. However, cash is what we think it is. One, we as a people give a value to it, which is why we see the fluctuation in the currency markets on a daily basis. And two, the real earning potential comes for providing value to people that are willing to pay for it. Such as, like you said, having a digital asset of which people are willing to look at or willing to pay to see because it's entertaining or informational or educational or whatever. That's where the real value comes from. So right now we're talking about how do you, because I think you bring up a really good point, how do you take those valuable assets that you have accumulated in your portfolio and move them around accordingly based on your life's goal, to the point where you don't have to have so much cash sitting on the sidelines. One, because it decreases in value at least 3% per year. Two, because as you said, we've seen how our government has easily infiltrated. Prior to Trump, it was like, oh, it's the U.S. Nobody trusts politicians all the way, but at least we would kind of give the three branches of government some type of stability to the point where the dollar can remain stable. But now that we see that we can have a criminal in office that can do whatever and get away with it, there's no telling what the dollar could be worth tomorrow. Shani, what are your thoughts on this subject in general?
The American dollar?
Action.
So whenever you need relief from muscle pains, muscle spasms, and aches, grab Q-Merch Vapor Rub. It's part of their new Healing Butter line. This Vapor Rub will have you feeling like a new person walking out the door. Need I say more?
Definitely a piece of paper made from trees. I don't understand how we worship money, but again, I had to start realizing people think differently. I had to stay open-minded to a lot of things, but yeah, how do I say, money is just an illusion. We already know that. And it's like trading it for goods and services, but the truth is, it's like everything on this planet, wasn't it supposed to be free? And I know realistically the system we're living in, people hear free and like, oh, ain't nothing for free, and I ain't crazy, I know that, but truth is, it's like, who made us in charge? Who put us in charge? Who created this idea of money and said you gotta do this and you gotta do that? And I'm like, who put all these people in charge and said, you know what, yeah, we can tell you where you can go and when you can, and all because of some paper. The same paper you use to wipe your ass. Or I'm sorry.
No, you
or
good,
like,
preach,
yeah,
sister.
I'm
You tell
like,
them, man.
I'm like, one day I just woke up to it. You know how you just have an epiphany, and I'm like, bro, that's a piece of paper. You can burn that, chap.
Right.
I was just so over here like laughing. I was laughing because I was just like, this is stupid. Like it feels stupid. But I'm trying not to be biased, because again, there's a whole probably other group of people who think differently, and you guys get what I'm saying. They're still like, there are people who are still in the mindset of operating like that, you know, in the world where money does still hold value, and you get what I'm saying. They're not necessarily on purposely worshiping the dollar, but like we were talking the other day, I feel like a lot of people just live in survival mode, so they're just clinging to what they know. I don't think people really care about the specifics. Like, people aren't thinking about what we're talking about. Not saying that it's not important. They're just not thinking about it because they're like, look, I gotta feed my kids. I got this. I need that. I gotta do this. Like, they're just trying to survive. So even though it may be bad or what, people are, I feel like they just cling to what they know. But we all know that this is, it's starting to come out. It's starting to be presented to most people. They're starting to wake up more, which is great. That's why I like the Woke at Midnight, you know, definitely everything you guys do, because that's the whole point. But yeah, it's just, it's dismantling. I'm just curious to see how much more, you know, going further, because I'm still young and it's still just 2026. So yeah, we got so much robots and stuff, you know. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm good, but it's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, knowing that you got to wake up every day to go into a world that, you know, pretty much has programmed us as robots to work for dollars that ultimately, you know, it doesn't even have to be a tree anymore. It's really just numbers inside of a computer now. Direct deposit, you know, right? And knowing that, you know, the world has kind of been programmed and trained to get up every day and do the same thing, almost as if we're cogs in a machine. You know, I certainly understand that being like I mean, that frustrates most people, you know, the rat race in general.
Yeah.
The question is, how do we as a society escape that? Because all countries have currency, you know, the baht, the Japanese yen, you know, the Chinese, you know, everyone has a medium of exchange. So the question is, are we talking about changing the mindset of converting value that you have on you, such as whether it be real estate, product, gold, any type of precious metals, into something that you need, such as paying your light bill, paying your water bill, feeding your kids? Is that something we need to focus on more, how to kind of make that that transition without having cash involved, or just better cash management in general?
Well, what she said was so on point, and that's kind of like where I've been at. I've been like, when you really start critically thinking, you start thinking like everything on this earth, the resources are ours. So all they do is build up a army and play all these games so they can keep us from the resources that are our own resources, right? So the thing that, and I'm gonna speak towards black people, and I've been trying to teach this my whole life, right? But we just, I love our people so much, but sometimes, man, it's just hard. Because that's the reason why you have your own business. It's all about just creating, right? Yeah. If you are a house builder, you build cars, right? Yeah. I make clothes. All you have to do is trade. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Money really has no value. Money is just a signature from white people. That's it. Stuff that they get free, we sit up there and hustle for, and we don't have to do it. All we have to do is everybody just create. Oh, see, people like, I don't feel like opening my own business. It ain't even about that. It's about creating, right? Yeah. Because soon as you in the system, you working for them, then they say, oh, okay, you got to take 20% of your money and give it to a 401k. Now you're going to this tax, and then they bully government to come in there and say where the money go. So they pimping us.
Now, you're a clothing retailer.
Right.
If you wanted to sell your clothes to Georgia Power in order to get power, how would that work?
Well, when you create, because Georgia Power should never have a monopoly on the business.
Even if it was 30 companies in electricity distribution business, how would you sell your clothes to one of these 30 companies to get your electricity turned on?
No, I'm not saying that everybody has to trade evenly. I'm just saying that we have to understand the concept, right?
Of course.
They're only able to do that because they're controlling government. And half our people say, "Ooh, I'm in the process," but the other half think we shouldn't be voting. And that's where...
That's a different conversation.
Right, that is, but it has everything to do with assets. You understand what I'm saying? Because we think that just because... See, we just trying to use our labor, right, to make money, to buy stuff that should already be ours. You understand what I'm saying?
Like electricity and power?
Like electricity, like houses, like all the stuff.
That costs to generate that.
That's okay, and then we'll pay that small fee, but right now, it shouldn't... It doesn't matter how we pay it.
So
the reason it matters is because we're not talking about eliminating cash in general. Like, yes, we understand you can trade things, but cash is a currency of exchange. It's a meaning of exchange.
It's just a meaning of exchange, right?
Which you agree on.
Which I agree on. Right.
Okay,
what I'm saying is...
Are y'all referencing to bartering?
Bartering is trading, yeah. And that's how everything is done. But sometimes you can't you can't say, I'll give you 3 shirts and 2 pants if you give me some power this month. And then come back and say the same thing about socks next month because they're different in the way that they appreciate, depreciate, how long you wear. Like, it's just too different. You got to have something in the middle.
Let me clear up something. When I said the bartering, I was using that as an example of the value of things. I wasn't saying that we should go out there and everybody trade. Of course. I'm just telling you that when you create something, right, it's the most valuable thing you could do, right? Everybody has extraordinary skills. They just have to find what skill it is. And then you take that skill, right, and then you go in that area and then you make it happen in that area. You see what I'm saying? Like, your job is just not to get up and go work for some white people and make them rich.
Question.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Would it make more sense if it, like, because I kind of understood what you were saying, but would it make sense, like, if the trading made sense? So, like, if, for example, I wanted Georgia Power, I would have to have something that was equivalent to that on that level more so. Yeah. But if I were somebody who sold clothes, I would have to trade with somebody who either does, like, food goods or clothing goods.
Think about that entire operation,
right,
and how long it takes. Right now we pay our bill with the click of a button and your power is on. The method you're talking about is, okay, I'm a clothing retailer, I need to go trade with the cow and then trade the cow for shoes and then trade that for the hair products so I can have the right amount of just balance to take to the Georgia Power Company based on their current demand for it, and then that way I can get power this month.
It sounds like a dowry.
It's a lot happening there. That's what cash comes in.
But that I wasn't even talking about that. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I was using that as an example of products and how they manipulate the whole system to make us pay for stuff we don't have to pay for. It doesn't matter how, like you say, right now we just push a button and the money goes to somebody. That's fine. You understand what I'm saying? So the thing that we have to, the resources have to be split up, where and how that comes is through creation, right? Creation of products. The main 1.5% of the top people shouldn't control all the resources that you have, right? Walmart shouldn't have exclusive on everything, or Facebook or any of those people, because what happens is they jack up the price, they lobby the government, right? So now everything that you're doing, you have no control over, right? So it's about the system where one thing affects the other. I'm not saying, if we just trade it. It's the same thing when it gets down to it. You see what I'm saying? We're buying stuff that should be ours. That's the point. So I know we don't have a lot of time.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and wrap this up. I'll just say one thing. You know, what really brings us to the forefront is that democracy is starting to show its capitalism combined with democracy is starting to show what really happens over time, and that is greater distribution of wealth going to the top 1% as they suck money out of the system, leave it into their investments accounts, make fake money on the stock market and 401ks
Right.
just to eventually sell it off and then leave people holding the bag, and that creates an incredible inequity within the nation, leaving people without and a lot of regret and people being disappointed at each other. So that's something we have to fix within our nation. We need to get together and talk about that, but we'll save that for another time. Thank you for joining us on Woke at Midnight. Welcome back to Woke at Midnight. I'm your host, Jason Bryan. I want to go ahead and shift the topic again and get into something that's, what I would consider probably the most talked about thing online in terms of how it affects society, and that's gender roles and the current makeup of relationships nowadays. Let's just rewind back to post-World War II, during the baby boomers, as they were being born, and what the family makeup was like that for most of America. That was a guy going to work, the woman staying home, raising the kids. Divorce was very uncommon, and everybody kind of was more focused on the family dynamic. You fast forward now to 2026, divorce is at its highest rate ever, and it's disproportionately affecting the black community in terms of divorce rate. Women have entered the workforce and in a lot of ways are making more money than men. Sometimes the women who are doing the exact same job as the men aren't making as much as they feel like they have, and that's a huge thing. They feel like they should, and that's a huge thing. And then there's guys are saying, why are you trying to be a career, professional anyway, when you should just get the guy to do that while you stay home and protect the household, because our kids are running astray. And it's a very touchy subject depending on who you talk to about it. Pops, we'll start with you. What's your thought on this?
Well, first let me say this. Women don't make more money than men. That's number one. It's not even close. Statistics you get from the government, most men have their own thing that they do. Okay, so let's just clear that up. And the reason why I'm saying that is that we have devalued men in this society, right? And I think that the propaganda has did a lot to devalue men and our women. So now let's talk about the roles and how it used to be and why we're here, right? I think right now, like I said in the last segment, we're going through a lot of selfishness, right? We are not critically thinking about our lives, right? Do you know how hard it is to make it by yourself right now? I don't think people realize that. Like, everybody think they can do it until they get out. You see what I'm saying? Like, you got to be a special person, right, to be able to make it by yourself.
You mean just pay your bills, live comfortably.
Right, live comfortably, right. Everything is about partnerships. Because if it wasn't, guess what? You wouldn't have. Why you got corporations? If Elon Musk can go out and build Tesla by himself, why wouldn't he do it? No, he stole it, and then people invested, and he take their money because the system is not built for you to roll by yourself. So what do we do about it, right? First of all, we have to understand how to get along, and then we have to put family first, right? We have to do a better job of picking our partners, right? And we have to do a better job of just understanding how to have grace on people, right? We so quick to, most marriages end because of the most stupidest arguments. You see what I'm saying? You looked at that girl's booty, or you did this, or stupid stuff. And we never thinking about, oh, this kid gonna be raised with one parent. Now the other parent, like, I ain't about to go to work and give all my money in child support, then I don't have no money to even live myself. Yeah. See, we got to start understanding the dynamic. You don't want to be by yourself. It got to be about partnership. You got to build families. See, if you build families, now you can be successful. Now the little things won't get under your skin so much. So we got to get God in our life, and we have to be able to get back to the basics. And this rat race that we've been running the last 20 years, you see what I'm saying? Like, they push this propaganda on us, when we start looking at, all these little reality shows and things like that. People look at that. And now society is reflecting that. You see what I'm saying? But if you look at successful people, most of them, if they ain't a big time artist, they married. And when you married and you got a good wife, and you a woman that got a good husband, y'all can fly. But we let all the smallest things get under our skin. We don't look at no more where we putting the kid first, because if you did that, then he wouldn't be over his mother's, and you don't have a daddy in their family, which is crazy. So that's why you have all of this. You got a nation of fatherless kids that don't have a father. When we were growing up, it didn't matter. If you didn't have a father there, the fathers in the community would take care of you. Or the woman move on to another man and have a household. That the kids need fathers. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Too many women are accepting being a single one
right.
parent as if it's cool when it's
right,
not.
Right. And then now the guys nowadays, they think they women. They be waiting on the women to bring home the money, and then like, hey baby, did you work today?
Which is what I meant when I said in some cases the woman makes more than the man. That's what I meant.
Right. Yeah. No. I know. I'm just telling you what I know what the statistics say. Mm-hmm. But you see what I'm saying? But a lot of people won't go in the workforce because they on a stupid child support, just paying them. You pay all your check. Out for, like, you could be making, just say you making $500,000. So you making $500,000, you got to give $100,000 to the kid. In what world do it take $100,000 to take care of a baby? Yeah.
Oh my God, I don't have no more gummies. Hold that, no. But maybe I got something in here. Yeah, I got a little something. My break from work. But I can't go back. Smelling like this. Where's my chronic killer? I need my chronic killer. Oh, there it is. Yes. Oh, strawberry.
You see? I come when it comes. Nothing. No ganja, no nothing. Who killed the Chronic? You did. Chronic killer.
Oh, it smells so good.
Okay, you're on your own. Your boss is coming.
Oh, okay. Gotta go. That's good.
That
You
is
know,
really wild.
but what that does is knock down our investment so we can't have our own stuff. So it's all a game. So we have to get together and straighten it out and quit letting white people straighten out our problems. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not blaming on women, I'm not blaming on men, because at this point, do it really matter? We got to learn to get along. And if we don't understand the concept of partnerships, you don't get with somebody because they look good today to you, because they could be fat tomorrow.
I'm sorry.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, Sean?
You see what I'm saying? You don't get.
Y'all fun.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go
no,
ahead.
you're
Go ahead.
right. No, I was agreeing.
Yeah.
But that was just ticklish. But as far as it was a lot of things you said I agree on. Honestly, I can't speak on too much because I'm not a mother, and of course I'm not married. So I'm just like, I can only speak from outside perspective. So I'm not gonna say too much. You should do this and you should do that. I do think you're right. We need to start learning how to get along. But I think people need to just stick to. Why is so many people in the world? Why can't you find what you're looking for? Like, everybody might not want the same things, and that's okay. But there's somebody out there who does want what you want. Just
Right.
go to you gotta say, it's like it might not be, how do I put it? I feel like sometimes, even from both sides, whether it be gender or emotional or mental, we force things that aren't supposed to be, or we don't think about them. And as far as like gender roles and stuff, I'm so confused. Like, I saw a video I don't know, should I say this or not, but I saw a video today. I'm like, I probably should get offline, y'all, but they talking about the studs, LGBT community. No disrespect, I have love for everybody. I don't discriminate anything. I feel like your life, that's, you do what you want to do. They ain't got nothing to do with me. But they were saying LGBT studs and how do I say, men that are like more of the on the feminine side are now being in relationships, and they were confused because they're like, wait, y'all are confusing the LGBT community, because it's like y'all are starting to just do anything. And I feel like personally it's just starting to be too many labels. I never liked labels like that. I feel like it's too confusing. People don't really know what they want sometimes, or we're not all mentally there or something. Like, we don't really, I don't know if it's traumatizing conditioning or people just have too many options. And that too, people think, oh, I can just try everything, and just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. And I feel like people have a hard time understanding that it's a lot of stuff and possibilities and all that, but I feel like we mess ourselves up because we want to try everything. Like kids, like with candy or food, we want to do everything instead of understanding that everything ain't really good for you, or, you know, finding what's right for you. So,
You know, in terms of the community getting along, I think that's something we can all agree on. I mean, it's clear as day that men and women are beefing more than ever right now. You know, it's a couple buzzwords is independence, or not settling, or getting the value of myself, me and being a valuable person, getting somebody that's as valuable as I am, me being the prize. You know, so a couple buzzwords out there that are driving people to feel like, you know what, I really don't need anybody. I could just be single. You know, everything is cool. You know, at least I'll get the freedom. Don't have to think about someone controlling what I do. And you know, I think that what's happening is that people don't understand a win-win situation and how to get to one, because it's hard. It's hard to think past a solution that's right there, such as divorce. Oh, that's easy. Just get out of here. That's very easy. It's hard to think past that and say, you know what? What's a better solution in which both parties can win? We can still maintain this partnership that generates value.
right.
As you alluded to,
There you
partnerships
go.
generate value. It's called synergy, where 1 + 1 = 3, in which the sum of the parts, if done alone, is not going to be as great as it is if you do it together.
Wow,
And,
there you go.
and that's tough for any person to get to, especially when emotions are in there, you know, love is emotional, and committing your life to someone is emotional also. It really hits you in a lot of different ways, whether it be insecurities or feeling like you're not good enough or feeling like you're not being treated correctly. It really evokes a lot of emotions. So when you start to need to think logically about and do really deep thinking about it to make the relationship work, it gets tough. And you know, I'll say this. This is the most talked about topic I see online all the time. You see men and women beefing. You don't do this. Y'all don't do this. This is the way y'all are. This is the way y'all are. Well, I don't need y'all. Well, we don't need y'all either. And it's like that, and you hear it in the music.
Yeah.
And it's definitely promoted. We as a society in general just need to come together, talk about solutions maturely, stop being afraid to talk about the hard things, and understand that we're better together.
Right, finally.
I agree with you 100%. You couldn't have summed it up any better. And the thing is that you know, like I've been speaking on it a lot lately, is that people don't understand, like, partnerships are of value for your kids, for society, for everything. You know what I'm saying? If you would let the ego go, right, and always concentrate on building other people up. If you build other people up, it's going to come back around to you. You see what I'm saying? You worried about what my wife doing? She did this and what? No, build her up. You feel what I'm saying? Make her an asset. She make you an asset, and y'all get to rolling. And believe me, you're gonna be happier in the long run, right?
Go ahead. No, my bad.
One last point. I just want to say, I saw a post today online that said, "How would you feel if your woman said she's going to Miami for girls trip?" And then I was like, "Why is that something that? Why do you care? Why do you care?
Right?
Let the woman do what she wants to do, and if you don't trust her, you shouldn't be like." It starts with trust.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're being like, so I just want to say that.
Right.
Go ahead. Let's go.
No, I agree with what y'all was saying. I'm just like, because I be seeing and hearing some stuff too, and I think as a woman, like, I am not a feminist or anything. I think on my own way, but I'm a woman still, so I get it. But the truth is, it's like, I feel like on both sides, men and women, I feel like there are people out there that aren't. They might have expectations. I do feel like some people are overestimating their expectations when it comes to what they're looking for and things. But I do feel like on the other side of it, some people are in real bad situations. And it's complicated based on, and that's why I can't really say too much about certain things in family and partnerships, because truth is, I'm not married, so I can't lead by example and say, well, this is how I would do this and all that. You can't really take advice from me. I'm not married, and I don't have children, but I know how I would want to. But of course, that's what I meant when I said you kind of have to meet people who match your energy or weed people out and start making instead of educated guesses, we need to, like, in this baby daddy, baby mama culture that people are just like, well, I thought it was going to work out, instead of just actually getting to know people for who they are and seeing if you guys' values actually line up.
All right.
Those are driven life.
Yep. So I think those are some great thoughts. You know, ultimately, we need to come together as a society and do better. This was Woke at Midnight. Thank you guys for joining us again, and we'll see you next time.
Peace out.